Hey everyone, welcome back to Matt and Cat Things. Continuing along with this concrete pour. Pretty happy with the way it came out. If you just joined us, go back a couple videos and see how we got here. In this video, we're gonna actually get to do some pouring. So this is what everyone's waiting for. This is where all the fun is at. It's also, for me, one of the scarier parts, but you get through it. I hope that this has been helpful for some of you guys that might be thinking about doing it, or at least maybe even a little bit entertaining. If some things are unclear, just jump down there in the comment section. Let us know what your questions are. We'll see if we can answer them. Let's get to it. Before I put the rest of this concrete board down, I'm going to cut my sink opening for my sink. I can do that with a jigsaw, it won't be too messy. Then I'll lay my concrete on top, trace underneath, and cut that outside because that'll be a mess. So the sinkhole has been cut in the plywood. I test fit the sink, it fit fine. Now I'll loose fit the concrete board on top and trace from underneath the sinkhole. So that I can go outside and cut it with the right saw. Again, put a bunch of weight on there after I put a little silicone. The silicone doesn't really hold it, it's the weight that's going to hold it, but just to make sure it's ultra flat. I took a piece of plastic tubing and I taped it around the perimeter of the sink so I could get a fairly accurate measurement of the perimeter of this sink so I could cut the form. Here I'm setting my level across and measuring to get the height that my form will sit above the sink. That way it's level all the way across. So we're going to start. We've cut this a little bit longer than normal. I think with the tube it gave me enough accuracy to go one cut, but I don't dare do that. One other thing is you want to make sure you square these ends off. If you did a rough cut, make sure you square those off. So I've cut a block that's exactly the height that I measured off. So I'll know how high to put the spacer. I also put a little piece of tape here at the end so that when I get to the end I have to make that final cut. It's not sticking to anything. I also cut the paper a little bit so I can pull it off up to there and then not have to worry about the last couple inches sticking when I'm trying to cut it. We washed it and degreased it before we started so that it would stick better. So I measured the middle. I'm going to start this in the middle. You come on this side, you hold this block, happy face up. So you're going to peel some of this back.
Where's the
Pull that
line?
back. Okay, put your block on. Put it right up against it. I think that's good. That's the first bit of contact. We slide it down a little bit. Make sure that we like that.
I mean, once you stick it, it's down, or can you pull it back a little?
Not sure. This ain't any fun. I'll tell you that right now. It does seem to stick pretty well. The corners are the scary part. Tell you what, go over here. Well, actually, no, right behind where you were. I want you to pull that tape out about a few inches. That's a little more. That's perfect.
I can see a gap right there.
I don't think you're gonna put a bead of caulking in there, so yeah. I don't know if it matters, but well, the tape and cutting the tape, didn't help a lot, but it does at the end. Just the last 2 inches for the tape. Now I can see the overlap, how much extra I have, and with the blue tape and this still stuck, I don't have to worry about sticking. It's not so sticky that I don't think you could pull it right back off. So I'm going to try to cut that now. What I'm going to do is take my square. Let's just take another piece of this, the leftover stuff, and we'll tack it. The theme of this channel is, how hard can you make something? I really think you need to make sure you go watch this on Concrete Countertop Solutions website. They sure make a easier go of it. Just keep scoring it. Patience, it'll come. This will be a perfect. Oh. So I'll just double check this. Bring it up a 10. So now I can just pull the rest of this off. Pull the blue tape out from underneath. That is pretty sticky. Then pull the backing off. Get my block. And
perfect.
well, it's on there. There's one thing I think you'll notice, you might notice, you might not see it. When you look down here, you might see a hairline crack of air, a gap. It's hard to push this form into the tight radius corner. You'll see next we're gonna lay a bead of caulking here, so I don't think that matters.
No.
So, I think the most important thing, I gotta adjust it a little bit, is making sure that these two, well, there's the answer to that. That these two match. And I also did the seam here, so I don't think you'll see it.
Good job.
Thanks. The real test is when you lay your straight edge down. I mean, perfect world, you'd touch all 4 points and you wouldn't be able to get a piece of paper under there, and it's perfect. Next, we need to caulk in this gap here, and in order to have a clean caulking job, I'm going to put a piece of tape up to the right height, like that. What I did is I just took a razor knife and kind of just lightly scored a line around here so I could see the height. And I'll go by eye and put the tape in. Well, maybe you don't even need that line. You can just kind of eyeball it. Yeah, that should work. So next we're going to take some 100% silicone, fill this gap so that it's flush with the top. So you just pour it in pretty liberally and then use some sort of squeegee. Take it out. to install the faucet knockouts, first thing I gotta do is get everything nice and centered with my laser. Next thing you want to do is check your faucet, see how many holes it is. I assume this was a 3, but on further inspection, it's 2, so I don't have to drill that 3rd hole. That helps. What the spacer is going to allow you to do is to have basically a 1-inch hole for your shanks to go through, and then it'll widen out so that your shank will go through, the gray nut will be able to slip up on, and you'll still have room for your supply line. One issue with these sink knockouts that come from concrete countertop solutions is that they don't really take into account the shim layer. Normally you would cut your hole, stick this up through, and this top would be even with the top of your concrete pour. But with this wood in place, this wide part will prevent it from getting up to the height we want. So underneath, I'm just going to cut out this little piece of plywood here. Then that will allow this to slip up through the hole and butt up underside the concrete board. Then that will bring this to the top height of the concrete pour. So from underneath you can see I cut those small pieces of the shim layer out so that the faucet knockouts can push up against the underside of the concrete board. You definitely have to make sure that this hole clears the front lip of your sink, not the front lip, but the back lip of your sink, because once your sink is in and that flange is laying here, if the hole is over it, you won't be able to push the knockout up through. Let me tell you, when I drove that drill through that concrete board, that was upsetting. But you'll see, we got it all patched together. Made it a little harder to take those knockouts off at the end, but I hope you're enjoying this. Please go ahead and hit the like button. Helps us out a lot. I think more people get to see the videos the way YouTube works if we get some likes, and subscribe too if you'd like. We'd appreciate it. All right, let's get back to it. I had to cut the back end of that bottom flange off to clear the metal bar on the IKEA cabinet in the back. Shouldn't be a problem. Really trying to be easy with this because, as you can see, this board here is pretty brittle at this point. Let's say that's right where we want it. Whew, okay. Crisis averted. I was able to kind of piece that part that broke in back in. It's gonna hold. Of course, we're looking for, again, that clean line all the way across. So when you screed over those, right, you get the clearance you need. I cut and fit this piece of foam in here. I used some Gorilla Tape to hold it in place so that, you know, if concrete gets spilled down in the sink, it won't scratch it all up. So I set up a little mock test run here so I can test out my pouring skills. And our little setup outside. Here's my sample. I learned a lot with this. I would highly recommend that you do this. Water management, timing, tools. Whew. So I'll make a few adjustments before I get going on this. I think we're ready. Here's our test sample that we made. Broke the form off it this morning, a little early, but this leading edge here is really smooth where the plastic form broke off. This, again, like I said earlier, this was a great step. Well, there you go. That's it so far. That test bore was a good idea. I would suggest it for anyone. In the next video, we'll do the actual pour and wrap this thing up. So I hope all the best for everyone out there. Until next time, see you later.